Before you even think about skipping this, pay close attention. What I'm about to tell you can completely change how a woman sees you in conversation. Most men never learn this truth. They go through life talking to women in ways that quietly destroy attraction without even realizing it. They think they are being nice. They think they are saying the right things. But instead of creating interest, they become predictable, forgettable, and emotionally flat. But you're here. And if you stay with this until the end, you'll walk away with something useful, something practical, something you could use tonight. Something a woman may keep replaying in her mind long after the conversation is over. So, stay with me. Take a breath and understand this first. Women do not fantasize about the man who tries the hardest. They become emotionally affected by the man who understands the right emotional pressure points. Not manipulation, not cheesy lines, not forced charm, real emotional accuracy. Yes, compliments can be powerful, but only when they touch a part of her that most people never notice. That is where most men fail. They compliment women in ways that are generic, shallow, and expected. You look beautiful, nice eyes, pretty smile, you have great hair. These compliments usually do very little. Why? Because they disappear the second they are said. She has heard them before. She has heard them many times. They carry no real emotional weight. They leave no deep impression. But the moment a compliment feels specific, thoughtful, and unexpected, something changes. She doesn't just hear it, she feels it. And when she feels it, it stays. It lingers in her thoughts. It repeats in her mind. It becomes one of those small moments she quietly replays later. That is the difference. Many men do not realize how deeply women process language. When a man notices something meaningful, something she did not think anyone was paying attention to, it touches a much deeper part of her than appearance ever could. People often say women are complicated. The truth is simpler than that. Women are often just more emotionally tuned in than men were taught to understand. And when you learn how to compliment a woman in the language of emotion instead of the language of appearance, you create a very different reaction inside her. You reach a part of her she may not even know how to explain. There are 3 compliments that can create this kind of reaction, and once you understand them, surface-level compliments start to feel empty. These are not pickup lines. They are not tricks. They are not manipulative tactics. They are simple truths expressed in a way that touches something meaningful inside her. And when they are said the right way, they can stay with her. Before I give you the first compliment, you need to understand why it works. Because if you just repeat words without the right energy behind them, the effect disappears. Women do not react deeply to phrases alone. They react to the feeling behind the words. They react when a man notices something that others miss. That is where the first compliment comes in. It is simple, quiet, but emotionally powerful. I love the way your mind works. This hits differently. The moment a woman hears that from a man who means it, something inside her pauses because you are no longer praising her body, her face, or something obvious. You are speaking to her identity. You are noticing something she has spent her whole life building. Many women want emotional recognition more than physical validation. Physical compliments are common. Emotional recognition is rare. Most men say, "You're smart, M." But that feels flat. It is vague. It is general. It is forgettable. But when you say that you love the way her mind works, you are admiring something more personal. Her perspective, her creativity, her way of seeing things, her thought process, her way of understanding the world. That feels intimate. And intimacy is what makes a compliment memorable. Women are often drawn to the man who makes them feel seen, not just looked at. Because here is the deeper truth. Women are emotionally affected by the man who activates their imagination. And a compliment like this does exactly that. She starts wondering what you noticed. She starts replaying past conversations. She starts thinking about which part of her mind made you say that. That reflection creates a loop in her thoughts. And that loop pulls her back to your words again and again. A woman wants to feel that her inner world, the part she protects and rarely reveals fully, has been recognized by someone who is actually paying attention. So when you say, "I love the way your mind works," You are telling her that you see something beyond the surface. And that stays with her. Now, let's move to the second compliment. This one is even more powerful in a different way because it touches the place where many women feel least understood. No matter how confident a woman seems, there is usually a private inner world inside her. Thoughts she keeps to herself. Fear she hides behind humor. Hopes she does not always speak out loud. When a man reaches that space with the right words, she doesn't just relax, she opens. The second compliment is this. There's something about your energy that stays with me. That may sound simple, but it can affect a woman deeply. To a man, it may sound a little poetic. To a woman, it can feel emotionally powerful. Why? Because many women quietly wonder what kind of effect they leave on people. They wonder if they are too much, not enough, forgettable, replaceable. So when you tell her that her energy stays with you, you are telling her that she affects you in a way that cannot be forced or faked. You are not complimenting her outfit. You are not only complimenting her personality, you are speaking about the atmosphere she carries. That part of her is effortless. It is natural. It is unconscious. And that is exactly why this compliment feels so significant. It tells her she was not just a passing interaction. She left an imprint. And this is where the psychology becomes powerful. The second you tell a woman that something about her energy stayed with you, her mind becomes curious. What part? What moment? What look? What feeling? What did he notice? That curiosity is part of what keeps the compliment alive in her head. Women are often deeply moved by the idea of being unforgettable without having to try. They do not just want to be liked. They want to be felt. They want to know that something about them lingered in a man's mind after they were gone. And this compliment tells her exactly that. Its power also comes from its simplicity. You are not over-explaining. You are not trying too hard. You are leaving a little mystery in the air. And mystery, when paired with sincerity, has emotional weight. She may replay the moment later. The tone in your voice, the way you looked at her, the timing of it, and the more she replays it, the more the emotional connection grows. Now we come to the third compliment. This one reaches even deeper because it speaks to emotional influence. Not obsession, not intensity, not drama, emotional calm. The third compliment is this. I feel calmer when I talk to you. This may sound soft, but it is far more powerful than most men realize. A woman may enjoy being called beautiful. She may appreciate being called attractive or interesting. But when you tell her that talking to her brings you calm, you are telling her that her presence affects your inner world. That is not ordinary. Many women want to know that they are more than exciting, more than visually attractive, more than fun for the moment. When you tell her she brings you calm, you are saying that she feels like peace. And peace is rare, especially in a world where people are overwhelmed, distracted, guarded, and emotionally tired. This kind of compliment can hit a woman very deeply because it tells her she is not just someone you notice. She is someone you return to emotionally. The more emotionally aware she is, the more powerful this can feel, because many women understand that men often carry pressure silently. Stress silently, pain silently. So when a man says with confidence and sincerity that her presence calms him, it reveals trust, not weakness, not neediness. Trust. And that creates emotional intimacy. She begins to imagine what deeper closeness with you would feel like. Not just physical closeness, not just social connection, real emotional closeness. That is where fascination starts to grow. She starts replaying the conversations, remembering how you looked at her, remembering how she felt around you, because now she knows she has an emotional effect on you that goes beyond appearance. And women rarely forget that. What makes this compliment beautiful is that it does not make you seem desperate. It makes you seem human, grounded, real. And when honesty is delivered with calm confidence, it becomes magnetic. Now that you know the three compliments, you need to understand why they work on a deeper level. This is not about memorizing lines. It is about speaking to the parts of a woman's identity that are often ignored. These compliments touch three powerful emotional layers. Her mind, her energy, her impact. Her mind is the part of her she takes pride in. Her energy is the part of her she wonders whether anyone truly feels. Her impact is the part of her she hopes matters to someone. Once you understand this, your entire way of speaking to women changes. You stop sounding like every other man, and you begin speaking to the parts of her that are harder to reach. That is what makes a man stand out, because many women do not become emotionally attached to the man who compliments them the most. They become emotionally affected by the man who makes them feel emotionally significant. And here is where it gets even more interesting. When a woman keeps replaying a compliment in her mind, she often begins attaching that emotional feeling to the man who gave it to her. That is part of how emotional memory works. When warmth, curiosity, peace, or intimacy get attached to a person, that person starts occupying more space in the mind. This is why you do not need to be overly romantic. You do not need to be overly smooth. And you do not need to perform. You simply need emotional accuracy. Women are not asking for perfection. They are responding to resonance. They remember the man who says something that feels real, something that feels deeply observed, something that feels like it came from awareness, not routine. And that is something most men never learn. They do not realize that one of the most attractive things about a man is the way he makes a woman feel through conversation. Not when he shows off, not when he performs, not when he tries to impress, but when he speaks in a way that makes her feel understood. There is something else you need to understand if you truly want these compliments to stay with her after the conversation ends. Words alone are not enough. The emotional environment around the words matters just as much. Women do not usually fantasize about sentences. They remember moments, and moments are shaped by tone, timing, presence, and authenticity. So, when you say these compliments, do not rush them. Do not throw them out carelessly, like generic praise. Say them like you are simply expressing something real that you genuinely noticed. Because women are highly sensitive to emotional intention. They can often feel when a man is exaggerating, performing, or trying too hard. But they can also feel when a man is grounded. And when a compliment comes from that grounded place, it lands very differently. That is another reason these 3 compliments work. They are not needy. They are not thirsty. They are not trying to chase approval. They simply reveal how you experience her. And that changes everything, because the moment you stop trying to get something from her and instead reflect something meaningful back to her, you become different from most men she meets. Attraction grows through emotional connection, not pressure. When she feels that you are noticing her, understanding her, and appreciating her without forcing anything, she becomes drawn to you in a way she may struggle to explain. That is the emotional pull that stays with her. But here is another truth most men miss. Emotional influence does not come from performance. It comes from presence. If you speak slowly, calmly, and with meaning, your words settle into her mind instead of flying past her. If you look at her with quiet confidence, not forcing anything, not staring unnaturally, just being present, she feels the sincerity. Women respond strongly to small signals, not theatrics, not overdone confidence, not constant talking. Small signals. Your tone, your timing, your calmness, your steadiness. If you are grounded, she feels safer. If you are centered, she becomes more open. If you are sincere, she feels seen. Without that presence, even the best compliment can feel empty. With it, even a few simple words can stay with her for a very long time. The truth is, women often remember how you made them feel much longer than the exact words you used. And when the right words are paired with the right presence, you become memorable. Now, here is the final part most men never understand. This is not about collecting clever phrases. It is about becoming the kind of man whose words carry emotional weight. Women do not stay fascinated because a man said one smart thing once. They stay fascinated because the way he speaks reflects depth, awareness, steadiness, and emotional maturity. When your attention feels real, your energy feels calm, and your presence feels intentional, everything you say becomes stronger. Because many women are drawn to emotional certainty. They want to feel that the man in front of them is not fragile, reactive, or trying too hard to impress. They want to feel that he knows who he is. That is why these compliments work best when they come from a grounded place. They do not just reveal something about her. They reveal something about you. They show that you are a man who notices more than the surface, a man who values more than appearance, a man who feels deeply without losing himself in emotion. And when a woman receives that kind of emotional recognition, she begins to see you differently too. She starts imagining what it would feel like to trust you more, to open up to you, to come closer to you emotionally. Because a man who sees her mind, her energy, and her emotional effect is a man she will often want to be around. Not because he is perfect, but because he reflects a kind of connection she rarely experiences. That is how emotional attraction begins. Not in loud, grand gestures, not in flashy compliments, not in forced charm, but in the quiet moments where she realizes you understand something about her that most other men do not. And once that realization begins, it stays active in her thoughts. She wonders what else you notice, what else you feel, what else you understand about her. And that creates emotional momentum. So use these compliments with intention. Use them with sincerity. Use them with presence, not to manipulate, but to connect. Because when you do, you become the man she remembers in crowded places, the man she quietly compares others to, the man she thinks about later when the room is quiet and her mind starts replaying moments. And if you want more insights like this, more real psychology, more emotional depth, and more practical tools that can change the way you relate to women, make sure you like the video and subscribe, because this is only the beginning of learning how powerful a man can become when he understands the language of a woman's emotions.